here to talk about accessibility in modern fighting games. There are a select few people that don't believe that we should have things like modern controls, or in the case of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, which you'll notice gameplay behind me talking. Um, Fatal Fury has something called Smart Style controls. Um, Me and my friend Nightwing, who I'll just call him Nightwing because I don't know if he wants his name out there in the YouTube streets. Um, we joke that it's just mashing heavy button, but there's so much more to it than that. But this is not a tutorial on smart style. This is just me venting about people that don't believe that these types of controls have a place in modern fighting games. So, um, when I was struggling with defense in Mortal Kombat 11, I reached out to some pro players for some advice on what to do because I couldn't block, and let's be honest, blocking is, I'll say, about 75% of Mortal Kombat, I feel like. Um, so I reached out to some pro players to get some advice. This was before I knew that you could switch the flip stance button, which is not really used. It's probably the dumbest thing ever added to MK. Um, since you really only use it to bait people to do something so you can punish accordingly. But one of the pro players that reached out to me was Perfect Legend. After I put out the question out there, how do I improve my blocking? He just simply said to move the flip stance over to the R1 button, which at the time was blocked, and the L1 button, which at the time was flip stance. So just flip flop those. So I did that, and my defense improved tremendously. And I to this day I owe him a great deal for telling me about that. But lately, PL, multi-time Evo champion, has gone off the rails about fighting games being too easy and it catering to casuals and this and that. And most recently he brought up the late Broly legs in a tweet saying if Broly can do it with his mouth because he was the number one Chun-Li player in the world for Street Fighter 4, and he did it playing with his mouth. He was featured on ESPN and everything. Um, his his tweet said that if Broly can do it with his mouth, anybody can do it without these modern controls. Now, if you think someone with a disability, even though they could do it with um any part of their body because they've been training for a while, if you don't think someone with a disability would champion the fact that there have been now other ways to play the games that we enjoy, uh, if you think that they wouldn't support that, you'd be sorely mistaken. I'm a prime example. There are accessible controllers now put out by Sony and Xbox, but I myself have trained to work on a regular, smegular DualSense controller. Now, that doesn't mean that I do not champion the fact that Xbox and PlayStation have made strides in the realm of accessibility. I've used one I've used the Xbox one in one of my videos. And while it's great, I've trained myself so much on a regular controller that anything adaptive seems foreign to me, and it just makes things difficult for certain games. So I don't use anything adaptive. But the idea that someone that had a disability, RIP legs, um, the idea that someone with a disability would not champion um, strides made to make games more accessible for people with disabilities or just people looking for an entry point into a franchise is just wrong. You're crazy. And one of the other things that he said was, um, we're back in real fighting games. Fatal Fury doesn't hold your hand. Well, wait till you get cooked by somebody that uses these smart style controls, and then I guarantee you that he will revert to his ways of saying these controls suck and the game sucks as a result. Um, it, it really is kind of sad because I've been trying to, um, over the years, I've tried to build my channel on finding the most accessible games out there, and there are certain developers that I'll list right now: Naughty Dog, um, Sony Santa Monica, um, and just Xbox as a whole, um, have been champions for accessibility. I can map the entire control scheme for The Last of Us Part 2 on one hand. That's great. Um, there's options where you can skip QTEs. That's great for people that don't have the reflexes to do one of those things. I couldn't get through Resident Evil 4 when it first came out because it was so QTE heavy. I remember trying to mash the square button to get away from the boulder um, during one point in the game, and I just couldn't do it. And I gave up, but now there are strides being made by development teams that make those things a thing of the past, but there are some developers that refuse to get on the train. Um, From Software is one. I would love to complete a Souls-like game, love to, but they sacrifice fun for difficulty, and those are games that I cannot uh get with. And I think um Mortal Kombat needs to do something more in terms of controls for accessibility purposes, because the shorter inputs are great, but there are certain motions that I can't do, which I've openly talked about. Back forward motions, specifically with analog stick input, it's really, really tough to get a handle on. But there are also bad sides to the accessibility aspect. Um, And I was gonna save this for a second video, but I'm just gonna let it all out now. Tekken 8 is an example of a game that does the smart controls thing poorly because somebody can start out with normal controls and just press a button if they're losing to open up the accessible controls and win that way. In my opinion, if you want to use the accessible controls, it should be a thing like most games where you select it in the menu, and if you ever want to get off of it, you go back to the menu and toggle it off. It's not that hard. Um, that is an example of a game that does the accessibility poorly. Um, anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If my complaints are warranted, if you agree with most of these pro players that don't believe accessibility has a place, or they've made fighting games too easy to cater to a certain demographic of people. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm correct. Also, let me know down in the comments below. I love friendly banter, so please, I will respond to every comment that is made on this video because I feel like having that platform to vent about things is important. And who knows, maybe someone will see this video on one of the developers that I mentioned, like NetherRealm. Maybe one of them will see that and maybe they will um contact me or look at my videos and contact one of you guys and get some of your ideas. I know it's a reach, but it's something that I'm hoping I can start getting a handle on. Coming up in the near future though, I will be doing a smart style tutorial for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. By the way, great game, really fun, really enjoy it, and it's only gonna get better, I think. Yeah, but like I said, guys, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of these videos, what you thought of this video, and let me know what you think of the gameplay in the background. I was quite impressed. I'm not gonna toot my own horn and say I'm great at Fatal Fury, but I took some time and I learned some things, and I played really well in these sets. So please give it a watch and let me know if you thought I was good or not. If you think I'm trash, let me know. And I'll drop my PSN if you've got a copy of Fatal Fury and you want to take me on, let me know. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Always remember, as long as you have 5 fingers and a belief in yourself, you can do whatever you set your mind to. I'm OHG, and I'll see you in the next video.